Hey, what's up guys? Alright, so I actually just got done my live stream going over the leaks for this week's chapter of Clover, which by the way, if you were there, if you stopped by, thanks for stopping by. I hope you all had a lot of fun. I know I did. But anyway, in this video, I just want to make this quickly to go over the leaks and basically my summary for how the chapter is going to play out, in case you guys weren't there and you haven't seen the leaks just yet. So anyway, we're going to be going into what I think is a summary and the sequence of events for the chapter, and then we'll talk about the two big spoilers that we have in this chapter and discuss them more. Okay, so the summary I have for the chapter based on the leaks that we have out so far is in this chronological order, and we actually get the first big reveal from the chapter in the beginning of it, which is actually the reveal that apparently Juno's mom, the queen or the former queen of the Heart Kingdom, I guess technically now the once again queen of the Heart Kingdom now that the Dark Triad has been defeated, she is actually all this time apparently has been alive, which is kind of weird because I could have swore, I mentioned this in my live stream, I could have swore that in the anime, which is supposed to be canon, even the filler stuff, but I could have swore when we saw the flashback to what happened in the Space Kingdom when the Dark Triad actually took over, that we actually got to see them kill Juno's mom and dad. But apparently she's been alive this entire time, and we actually get to see her reunite with Juno, and the two of them actually do interact, and although we don't have these pages translated, we can tell from the dialogue from one of the pages we actually do have with Juno, that at some point she must ask him if he's actually going to stay in the Space Kingdom with her, so that they can be a family again. And he answers back by saying that he actually plans on staying in the Clover Kingdom so that he can become the next Wither King. And then we actually have this nice shot of both him and Asta both singing at the same time, so like a dual panel thing. We don't get to see, unfortunately, who Asta's talking to in that panel. It's probably Yami or someone like that. But anyway, we do know that Juno, as far as right now goes, he plans on staying in the Clover Kingdom and working his way up to be the Magic Knight, or the Magic Emperor, or Wizard King as they call him now. And unfortunately for him, that dream is not going to happen because obviously unless Asta ends up dying, he's going to end up becoming the Wizard King, which means that later on in the series, after him and Asta have like their final fight to decide who's going to be the next Wizard King, obviously at that point, that's when Juno's going to decide after he loses to probably go back to the Space Kingdom and rule as the next king. But as of right now, he's staying in the Clover Kingdom. Then we go back over to the Clover Kingdom and we actually follow Julius and Damianato for the rest of the chapter. And we actually see that Damianato apparently has been figuring out this entire time, since the first introduction to the idea of the Dark Triad, he's been doing research about the higher ranking devils from the True Equipop ritual, and he actually did the research that we were already aware of, but I guess he's just now figuring out that the three highest ranking devils were Lucifero, Beelzebub, and a devil called Astaroth. Not Lucifugus like we originally thought, but Astaroth. And he basically came to the conclusion that Mekikula was a replacement for Astaroth because Astaroth had actually disappeared a long time ago. Now he comes to Julius with this information while Julius is actually having a meeting with Marx. He's actually talking to him through that that spatial telephone thing that we've seen him use before. The two of them are talking, and Damiano actually comes in and interrupts their conversation, and Julius ends the conversation there with Marx. He goes to talk to Damiano, and basically during this conversation, Damiano is basically implying that he knows, because Julius is the only person in history to ever have time magic, and the devil Astaroth is actually a devil that controls time magic. He's basically implying that he knows that Julius actually is connected to this devil. And at first I was a little confused by the reveal because I didn't get the full context until after I had already seen the big reveal. But it seemed like at first to me that Julius was actually going to reveal that yes, he actually is in fact Astaroth. In fact, there's at some point that after Milk actually comes into the picture during their conversation or during the chapter to talk to Julius, or Julius will get to his real name in a little bit. But at some point he actually comes to talk to him and he calls him Astaroth. So I thought originally that this is actually going to be the reveal that Julius actually is this time devil Astaroth. But what we end up finding out is that Julius is actually the fourth Zogratis brother. So yeah, that theory that everyone had that I've been denying since it came into fruition is actually true. But yeah, finding out that Julius actually is his fourth sibling is such a big mindfuck. Like, who would have thought that Julius of all characters? I mean, obviously a lot of people thought because they had the theory, but me personally, maybe it's my biasness towards him because I'm such a big fan of the character. Maybe that's the reason why I had blinders on when it came to it, but I really did not see this coming. Like, this reveal completely blindsided me. It was the last thing I thought would be revealed in this chapter. And to find out that he's actually the fourth Zogratis brother, and that apparently the grimoire that we saw when he was fighting against Patry, that was not his grimoire. That was actually the Time Devil Astaroth's grimoire. Now, as of right now, we still have no idea exactly what Julius, or as we end up finding out, his real name is Lucius Zogratis. We still have no idea what his actual magic is because obviously the devil he's contracted to, Astaroth, that devil's magic is time magic. That's what he's been using this entire time. The chat during my live stream kind of came to the conclusion that basically his magic must be transformation magic, because we've seen Julius use transformation magic multiple times throughout the series to turn into that old woman to kind of just walk around town without being noticed, which kind of always brought up the question in my head, why is no one bringing up the fact that Julius has 2 types of magical abilities? Because everything we've seen in the series so far has indicated that you usually only have the one ability. You know, if you can use fire magic, then you can only do different variations of fire magic, or you can use spatial magic and do spatial magic things. But Julius had time magic and the ability to transform into things. You would think people would have thought that was weird a long time ago, but no one's really brought it up, at least not to my memory. Anyway, that's pretty much the big reveal. Like I said, we end up finding out that Julius is actually this Lucius guy, and it's kind of implied in the leaks that he might kill Damianato in this chapter, because he puts his fingers on Damianato's head after he transforms into his real form. And then we see in the next page that we have with Damianato and Julius, where we get to see Adramelic basically come in and talking to him, that Damianato is on the floor. Although that being said, there is a possibility that he actually just might be knocked out and unconscious, because my chat did come up with the idea that maybe his magic might also have something to do with erasing people's memories. So maybe that's what he did, since he knew that Damiano basically called him out on being the 4th devil, or at least connected to him. He erased his memories, and that's why we see him on the ground. Because in that same shot where we get to see him on the ground, we see his grimoire in plain sight, and it's not burning. And we already know that when the user dies, the grimoire dies with it. So because of the fact that it's not burning, at least not in that panel, we can assume that he's not dead. But obviously, Julius or Lucius did something to him in that panel, and we're going to have to get the reveal to what happened to him later on. Now, what's going to be interesting is what's going to happen if he did kill Damianato, because even though no one really likes him when it comes to the main cast, obviously because of everything he did during Asta's trial, especially with joining Marie, no one's really going to miss him, but he is an important character in the Black Clover Kingdom. So because of that, the questions are going to come up as to what's going on with his disappearance if he actually did die. Which, for all we know, might actually end up being his plan anyway, because apparently, as Adramelic says in this chapter, he planned all this out, which has me thinking that he's really on his Eisen level when it comes to planning, and like his genius, because the way it's implied is that he planned everything. Like, it's kind of implying that he planned for Asta and Leave to get their perfected double union, to get the anti-magic and beat him once to defeat Lucifer. Like, he planned everything, going from the beginning of the series, from when Asta was born to now. Again, a lot like Eisen, who planned everything from Ichigo's birth to when the two of them will fight, just so he can fight him. Now, as of right now, we don't know exactly why Julius has done this, but we do know that he seemingly has planned everything out so far. So we're going to find out once we come back from this unfortunate hiatus exactly what the plan is and how it's going to actually be implemented. Now, as far as we're aware from the leaks, that's pretty much the end of the chapter. But last thing I want to mention before I end the video is that there's a little bit of inner monologue that we get from Julius before the big reveal happens, which really has me questioning whether or not Julius is actually truly this character. Because one thing that kind of blows my mind is that he seemingly is questioning things as to why it's going down, yet he's supposed to be the mastermind behind everything. So he says in like the inner monologue, and this is a rough translation from the fandom, but he says like something's not right, something doesn't seem right, and he's questioning everything that just went down in the last arc. But according to Adramelic, everything went down exactly as planned. So why would he be questioning things if everything went down exactly how he told Adramelic it would? So again, they kind of brought up the question in my chat that, you know, maybe Julius actually might be a split personality from Lucius. Which personally, again, as a Julius fan, I would be 100% on board with the idea of him being a split personality. That way we can redeem Julius in some way after this. But I don't think it's going to go over well with the rest of the fandom. So I don't think the pod's actually going to go that route. But anyway, guys, that is it for the video. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you guys thought about the leaks if you're looking forward to the chapter. It's definitely a lot better than the last one. I don't think this is going to be a very divisive chapter at all. I think this is going to be the one chapter from this entire thing that everyone agrees is good. And I'm actually looking forward to seeing what happens when we finally come back from the hiatus and where we go from here. But that's it for the video, guys. Thanks for watching. Hope you all enjoyed, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.